Okay guys, it's Aaron from ROGUEWORX here. We're at the IWA show in Nuremberg. I'm going to be walking you through some basic upgrades for the ASG H22, which is a variant of their Special Teams carbine today. So parts that we're going to be installing from the ROGUEWORX range. We have our Guillotine rail, which is a single piece CNC aluminium rail. Our heavyweight bolt carrier, which is stainless steel. We have our upgraded nozzle set, which includes a double O-ring stainless steel piston with a matching serial number to the bolt carrier. We have our Morpheus charging handle, which has interchangeable ends which you can unscrew so that you can fit different styles of charging handle ends. We're also going to be installing our sickle mag release, which is an extended tactical mag release. Gets those faster mag changes. Okay, so gun itself, obviously make sure it's cleared first. Mag is out, and we're going to start by removing the main body screw underneath. This is a 4mm Allen key. And on the H22 version, we have a CNC'd front section of the barrel clamp, which slots into the Hera Arms handguard, and you have to undo the 4 screws holding the CNC'd barrel clamp to the gun. Otherwise, it won't let you lift the barrel and receiver out.
A few moments later.
Okay, we take the barrel clamp off, and we should now be able to lift the action out. Okay, put the stock to one side. Oops. Don't lose the buffer pin. And so we have the action. We have trigger mech on the bottom, the barrel assembly, barrel clamp, and 2-piece rail on the top. So next thing is to push the pins out which attach the trigger mechanism to the receiver. Oh man, if they've hammered these in, it sometimes helps. It sometimes helps to have little bits of tape over these pins to stop them wandering off when they're installed in the gun. So that's our trigger mech separated. And now, inside the receiver, we can pull the bolt back and lift the bolt carrier out. And that is your complete bolt assembly. And we also want to remove the charging handle and guide rod, which we just do with pliers. You may have to pull it back a little. There we go. So charging handle and guide rod. Oh dear. Pop all these parts over to the side. Make sure we don't lose anything. So now I'm going to remove the plastic top rail. This top rail is very nice, but if you want a more rigid assembly to your gun, you can swap it for our CNC'd aluminium one, and it gives you a better hop adjustment as well, slightly more resolution on the clicks for the amount of hop you can apply. Again, don't lose the screws. There are 5 in this top rail. We're going to need to reuse these. And you'll also have these little tiny pieces, which is the brass clicker and spring, which is responsible for the clicker detent on the hop. And there's 2 more to remove for this front section of rail. You may have to press these screws out of the plastic rail. They get a little bit stuck. And for the CNC'd rail, it's slightly lower profile, so we don't need to use these two front holes. You can just put the screws back in to blank the holes off. Okay. So now we want the 5 screws that came in the plastic first section of the rail. Okay, so 3 of the screws that go into the receiver are only 6 millimeters long, and the 2 that go into the barrel are slightly longer. They're 8 millimeters long. So don't get them mixed up, otherwise it'll interfere with your bolt operation. Move the mag out of the way so you can see that. So we just line the rail up and make sure you have the spring and detent in the hop recess for the wheel. And we're just going to pop these screws back in. Okay, so we're going to make sure that these 5 screws are nice and tight. You don't need to go crazy over tightening these screws. We do not want to strip the threads out of the receiver or barrel. Okay, so that's your guillotine rail installed. Gives you 45 clicks per revolution instead of the 36 that comes on the standard rail. And you've obviously got a nice, much better looking hop wheel. Okay. So I'm going to put the upper receiver and barrel assembly to the one side. And what we're going to install now is the sickle mag release lever. So that goes in place of the mag release on the front here. So it's a nice extended part. Obviously looks a bit better, and we offer these in over a dozen different anodizing colors. So these ones are in satin silver. So we're going to push this pin out on the trigger mech. Keep your hand on it so you don't lose the spring. It just slides out. Take the spring off the standard mag release, and we're just going to fit that onto the screw on the sickle. And then this fork on the mag release, we have to make sure it goes either side of the plunger when installing. So push it in with your thumb to compress the spring, and then just slot the pin in. Nice and easy. And there you have your extended sickle mag release. I'll put that to one side, and we're going to look at the bolt assembly now. So I have simplified a few steps. This was your original bolt assembly, and I'm not going to take apart the spring for the rocket valve inside because I don't want to be losing all the pins and stuff. So we have a separate guide for that on our YouTube channel. So this nozzle assembly is already assembled with an end pass, our Apollo V2 end pass, and a steel piston. So I'm going to put this to one side, and we get our V14 stainless bolt carrier, which has a quick takedown pin. If we just push the pin out, that's held in place by a ball and detent spring in here. And you can just take the piston, slide it in, and then you simply push the pin back in. No hammering or pin drivers required. And that's your upgraded heavyweight bolt assembly with the piston and end pass inside. So we'll put that to one side as well. And last couple of things, we are going to install the Morpheus charging handle, which fits very nicely onto our bolt carriers. And again, as I said, you can change the end piece of this to many different styles. I think we have about 20 different styles of charging handle for this. So we're going to install the charging handle and the recoil spring and guide rod back into the receiver before we put the charging handle in. Do it this way around so you guys can see. So I usually get the spring, put the charging handle on the right way around. We grip it with pliers. Don't let go. Go in through the window. And position it inside the receiver. There we go. So the charging handle and the spring sit in their slot inside the receiver. Now we're going to put the bolt carrier back in. This requires 2 hands for sure. So you have to use your first hand to pull the charging handle back into position, and then just drop the bolt carrier in and make sure the charging handle goes into its slot on the bolt carrier. Okay? And that's your receiver with the bolt carrier, charging handle, and new rail installed. And now we can put the trigger mechanism back in place with the 2 pins we removed earlier. As I said before, these pins can try and escape sometimes, so it's sometimes a good idea to put little bits of tape over this, just so you don't lose the pins. And if we move these other parts to one side, we also have the buffer pin that fell out earlier. That goes in the big hole here. Again, be careful not to lose that. It does just slide out sideways. And that's all of our upper receiver, barrel, rail, and trigger assembly put back together. So we're going to put them back in the stock now. And it's a good idea to make sure that you keep this the right... Ah! Oh no. Let me do that bit again. It's a good idea to keep this vertical when you go to install it so that the pins don't slide out. A little bit stuck. There we go. There we go. Lovely tight fit. Okay. So I'm going to put the main body screw back in, which was this long M5. Okay, that's the main body screw. And then we have the barrel clamp to put back on. Okay, and that is a H22 with all tier 1 upgrades.
If anyone wants to clap, now is the time to do it.